Welcome to the LCS postgame lobby. Thank you very much, Dracos and Vedius, after our opening day here in week 3, where I'm joined by Martin the Fisher and Maurice Amazing Stückenschneider. What a marathon of a game, that last one.
It was crazy. We spent the last 5 minutes trying to figure out how to sit in these chairs, and we still don't know. Do you sit like this? Am I more like lean back?
You can also cross your legs, you know, like you guys are always,
okay,
I don't know, getting commentary on how you're sitting.
It's really tough to sit in these chairs, to be honest.
Right, and it was also really tough to finish that game that we just saw between Misfits and Fnatic. It went on for a really, really long time, and we're just going to dive into the final team fight where we had a teleport from a jungler, finishing everything up. So let's take a look at what exactly happened here, because Fnatic seemed like they had it.
Yeah, they were supposed to have it. They just got a pick, and for them, it was about being patient. And I don't think they really respected the amount of damage that the Copman was able to pull through, and the amount of defense that he had on his side, like in 3 minutes that was still left. So I just overextended, and to be fair, it got cleaned up.
It's kind of ironic that I feel like the one thing Fnatic did really poorly in almost every team fight was focus Hans Sama. And of course, the very last team fight of the game, they fail to focus Hans Sama. He kills them in their own in Misfits base, and they win it. And there were actually a lot of fights where Hylissang engages, forces the flash out of Hans Sama, and then Caps wants to like swoop in and be the hero.
Because we put a highlight play of him in the other game.
But then he swoops in and he gets like Alfari or something. It's like, no, not Alfari. You need Hans Sama. But
it isn't bad to kill Alfari, though. Like, can you really blame him for...
If Hans Sama's sitting next to you being like, blah, 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 and then he kills everyone.
All right, fair. Not the best target control. However, you guys said, well, they have a really strong comp, and it's the first Nunu Azir combination we saw. So what was Misfits doing so well then that they fought against this seemingly OP combo from what you guys were saying?
Hans Sama.
Yeah, like I think there's no other point in that comp. Like Hans Sama just played exceptionally well. He was always well positioned, and Fnatic's comp just was unable to out-damage whatever that comp was thrown out. So even the plays that Caps was trying to do, I think it was more out of the result that the comp that they played was unable to reach Hans Sama, to be fair. So in the end, he was lost in a position where Caps had to make plays in order to carry his team to a victory, because they just didn't do enough damage to kill the enemy team.
I always wonder, though, with these games where you have pretty long range on Azir, he has a Nunu buff, you get 3 nips down, was there a time to try and see, like Caps did almost do, just try and ignore the members and see if you can get in and then kill like one Nexus turret, and
he
suddenly...
he did that exactly,
He did towards the end of it, and it's always like when you have these games where inhibs are gone and there's like 20 minutes of sieging in the enemy base. I always wonder if maybe at some point you have to try and just rush the base down, but it's so difficult to do because there are 5 members right around you. Yeah,
so if Reckless split pushes, you make a 3 replay highlight of him because it isn't good, and now you want Caps to do it?
Difference is...
Difference.
Well, Caps did die sometimes, but didn't die as much.
Okay, so we talked a lot about Nunu, and Amazing, you were saying how it's a bit of an ungrateful position for Broxa to be in, because he couldn't really do that much because there wasn't any front line except for him. But what did you make of the first Nunu we saw, and how effective was it?
I'm happy about the execution. I think his Drake play was kind of iffy. He didn't really prepare the Drakes with the bottom lane, but I think the way he interacted with the Azir pick, especially in the early to mid game, was exceptional. Like just playing for that mid turret, playing for the mid kills, and just generally forcing the enemy somewhere and play in his space was something he did really, really well.
Did you like his Nunu mechanics? I noticed some quick Ws were hit on Azir.
And the flash ultimates, yeah.
That one too is pretty nice. If you want to play Azir, Nunu at home, you want to max Q first and then max W second.
Not like me. Not
like Amazing who maxes E. Don't do that, because you want to make sure with the W that, of course, the greater stats are fantastic, and the little cap there is on how much AP you can give to your mid laner. It goes up every time you put another rank into it, so you need to get it max second, so your mid laner gets the maximum amount of extra AP from that blood boil, not
the snowball is not that effective, I figured.
Fantastic breakdown for all of you guys playing that at home. Our player of the game for this match was Hans Sama with 76% of the votes. We praised him a lot during this game.
I voted as well.
You voted as well. And on top of that, it was in our breakdown before the game, we looked at who are the biggest damage heroes, or who's dealing the most damage in that team, and Hans Sama is one of the big guys. Alfari also not doing too shabby.
Of course.
But the Kog'Maw is, of course, absolutely shreds late
First
game.
of all, respect to Alfari for his build. 400% crit. We like
he's
that.
A man.
Hans Sama, though, is the best AD carry in Europe.
Oh! You just say that and think we're going to move on, but we're not. So why? Which qualities does he have that make him the best?
I have to support your claim now.
I think with Hans Sama, we're in a meta right now where it relies a lot on having a strong late game AD carry who is really good at positioning, because a lot of people want to try and get to you, and typically you're on a scaling AD carry who people will rely on to win your games. And I think his positioning in teamfights is spot on. And how he's able to use summoners to obviously know what to flash to stay alive during the initial engage is really good. Zero issues in the laning phase. He's actually winning more lanes, even on scaling champions at the moment with Mickey, than we see from most AD carries. So I think he's bringing almost the entire package which is great.
Yeah.
I was going to say it like that. I was going to say like 4 Misfits, but obviously he's on the team. So I think because Reckless is not performing at the highest level and doesn't seem to be in sync with his team, and Sven is gone, and Sama's played all the way up to #1.
Well, fantastic. I think this is a good idea. Maybe we can take a closer look at some of his plays and his positioning tomorrow before their game, but we'll put a pin in that because I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to see how the other AD carries evolve and see if anyone can threaten Hans Sama. We also have mini true packs coming up later and stuff like that, so we'll discuss it then. But first, we're going to talk about G2, because the reigning champions had lost 3 games in a row going into the week, but they managed to fight back and have a win versus Splyce. One of the things we were looking at for G2 was their late game decision making and their late game team fighting. So it definitely looked improved today, Maurice.
Yeah, it definitely did. For me, the biggest issue with G2 so far has been the fact that they weren't quite sure what to do at which time. They still had like some plays that were going on for them, and they still had ideas coming in, but they never found the right timing. I think in this game especially, like with the Drakes and Nashers that they forced, they were always on point with their forces and did it on times when they could actually force and didn't misplay in that manner.
Yeah, would be easy to say, is G2 back? But for them, it's probably just enough that they got a convincing win and that they worked on some of the issues that were apparent.
Of course, and they were actually against a really hard late game comp, or a strong late game comp from Splyce. So it was good to see that despite some shakiness in the mid game, they actually ended up playing better in these late game team fights, and they used the range really effectively, and it was enough for them to win the game. So overall, it was a rough game for both teams, but I'm happy to see G2 win the late game.
Yeah, very much improvements for them for that. And then the next game we are going to take a look at is, I'm actually not sure if we're ready to move on. So we can have some finishing thoughts about Splyce, possibly.
About Splyce.
I like them. I thought they looked good in the early game. I thought the play around mid lane where they kind of helped out Niski and put Odamn in a position where he doesn't end early game, honestly, was an improvement to last week's. And I think it's a good sign for things to come, because for me, Splyce has been a team that I thought of as a playoff team, like similar to how you think about Schalke as a playoff team, because they have so many great personalities on that team that have had success in the past that I think are going to repeat it if they're being put in the position.
We should make a bet. Which team makes playoffs? Which team doesn't?
I mean, there's 6 playoffs.
Schalke and Splyce.
I mean,
and Splyce.
What's the bet now? Like, I vote for Splyce, obviously.
If Splyce goes into playoffs and Schalke does not, I will take you out for dinner and pay for everything.
Okay.
Why is that just seems like a nice thing to do. That doesn't seem like
I wouldn't normally just take him out for dinner and pay for everything. But if Schalke makes it in and Splyce does not, you take me out for dinner and you pay everything. And we only go to nice places.
Okay, you already
well, it can be a place of the choosing of the winner, maybe.
Yeah, should the loser or the winner choose?
I mean, the loser choose the restaurant because I want to eat what I want to eat.
Okay, the loser chooses but has to pay.
Yeah, that works.
Only if Splyce makes it and Schalke does not, or the other way around.
All right. Well, moving on, and what actually spawned this bet is we had our match of the week between Vitality facing off against Schalke, and you said before the game that Schalke was going to be a playoff team no matter what, and also that they were going to win this specific game. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, I caught that part.
That wasn't the case. Well, Vitality, they won, and that's how they responded after their first loss last week. They struck back with resilience and force, and in a dominating victory. And after that, Medic caught up with Mini Truepax. Here is what he had to say.
We even gave him Kalista, you know, I wanted that challenge, you know, Kalista is permaban. I'm like, give him Kalista, I don't care, they won't let me Kalista. They give him Kalista, like, he doesn't do anything, I just out-rotate him, I out-micro him. I actually really laughed a lot when he said that he has an edge over every rookie AD carry, that he has more knowledge, and this guy, I don't know. No, but it was really good. People thought we were underdogs. Once again, like, you know, we come from challenger cities, smurfing hard, like winning every single game. And people are like, these guys got lucky. They will choke on stage. We go on stage 3-0 war. We go promotion tournament. We win 3-1 against NiP when they were like in their best shape. They're like, Schalke will beat them. We beat Schalke and they still dubbed us, you know, like, but it's fine.
So he was talking about the rivalry or the matchup versus upset, obviously, and it really did seem to me that Minitroopax had so much to say for so long, and he said it all.
Yes.
And he played well, so it was good to see. It was fun to see. Rumor also has it that he has refollowed one person so far. No, I'm kidding. It was
Wait, is it upset?
no, I'm just kidding. But let's talk a bit more about the game and the game specifics, I would say. I think Vitality showed, and that was a question we asked beforehand, Maurice, can they bounce back from the loss versus Misfits? Can these emotional players show us something else? And they did, and they actually did it in the way they've played before. They action-packed games, action-packed early games, which is something that you like to see.
They didn't slow down at all, and what was more important for me, actually, more so than like obviously the last week's loss, is how they handled this hard early game. Because honestly, with their comp, they were supposed to win early to mid game, then Gillis got thrown behind and didn't know quite what to do, and they still found the plays that were necessary in order for them to win team fights, such as Cabochard jumping onto the Kalista, which was probably the purpose of the Camille pick that I questioned in the beginning. But a lot of things make sense after I've watched them play, and I'm actually impressed by them and by their cohesiveness.
I love the fact that we've now seen 2 games where they do fall behind, and then they find really cool ways to get back in the game. Again, it's not waiting just for a dumb Baron call, it's punishing teams through fighting. And again, they're looking for these fights. Jack Troll started that fight in the mid lane, did not fail his combo. It was baiting. He told me after, he said it was a bait. I wanted them to think I was bad, and then they would re-engage on me. And then 2 members come from the flank and get the kills onto Schalke. And I just love the fact they are forcing plays even when behind to get back in the games. And I love then that Minitroopax after the game gets to unleash because he won, he beat Upset.
What a guy.
And he's been working towards this, you know, ever since he joined the LCS.
And now you said someone else is the best AD carry in the league. So just you said Hansama is the best AD carry in the league. So what would it take for Minitroopax?
I can see where it comes from. I think if you judge AD carries... Oh yeah, true. My bad. But anyway, I think in terms of what the complete package is, I think Hansama presents it more so, and like basically is in the footsteps of Sven more so than Minitroopax, because Minitroopax is really similar to Reckless, I'd say, in the way that he has a really specific playstyle that is basically abusive early and like basically a strong laner, and then translated that into team leads. And I think Sven was more like this player that basically allowed everyone on the team to still play the game, didn't need anyone to play towards him, and still have that late game carry potential. I think that's what Hansama is representing a bit more. So I actually agree with him.
Yeah, I don't think specifically it's because Minitroopax is better or worse.
It's different.
Than Hansama. It's just, we've only watched Minitroopax in the LCS for 3 weeks now. We've had a full year of Hansama, we've had Worlds, and now we have had the start of the spring split here. So we just have a lot more footage to kind of follow his growth, and therefore it's a little bit easier to kind of call him the best AD carry right now for me. And also I think Misfits rely a lot more on Hansama as the main damage dealer, where on Vitality we're seeing a lot of different members being able to do Jizuke from the mid lane, Cabochard playing carries on top side. So it's less about just Minitroopax shining, which is not the case for Hansama, and therefore I think it's easier for me to kind of look at Hansama and say, okay, right now he's the best performing player. But I don't think Minitroopax necessarily is a lot worse.
No. It's just a difference in how the team likes to play.
Yeah, and how long we've been watching them as well in the LCS.
Yeah, fair. Before we move on, Schalke, we'll have to talk about them a little bit. Obviously, this is now the 2nd week that they're fully with Upset again. I think this is going to be a crushing loss, and I don't know, you guys both as ex-pro players, will it be hard for someone like...
When was that?
3 years ago.
Technically correct.
You are correct.
For a young player like Upset, obviously, who has had some troubles in the beginning of the split, who everyone was looking at to do well, do you think he will have trouble kind of placing what happened today and placing that interview? And might he struggle with that? And then what are the solutions for that?
I mean, I think he put himself in a position it's hard, like that is hard to recover from. I think he should have never started trash talking to begin with, like before actually qualifying for LCS, before actually getting to a position where you're comfortable, unless you 100% sure that your emotions and your capabilities are there. Because, like, for example, when I started my pro career, I was really offensive in solo queue. I was always trash talking everyone. But when it came to the pro level, I was still really humble towards other pros that were better than me and that I like saw with a lot of respect. And I think that didn't come in. And I think now it comes back to haunt him to a certain extent because he's put in the spotlight and he's not responding. So now, for him, he actually just has to probably delete his Twitter, delete everything. Basically, but as in like just take a complete step back and just reset and basically we find this humble approach to, hey, I'm actually not that great right now, but that's fine. I can improve and I want to improve. And I think he put so much pressure on himself that it's almost sad to see from a player perspective.
Well, he can't change the past, obviously. So I think that I agree with you that maybe he just has to try and for all we know, that's the case, right? For all we know, he is being surrounded in that way, and we definitely hope so, because it's also a bit vital to that team, you know, to the development of Schalke, all of it. All of these players need to gel well. All of these players are learning how to gel with each other, and it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, it can take time, and your AD carry, of course, is extremely important. It's always been that case in League of Legends, except for like 1 or 2 patches last year when there was a meme about AD carries being useless, but you need a star AD carry if you want to be one of the best teams. Just from my own experience working with like new rookies coming in, they do care more often about the community and about these kind of things than maybe a player who's been there a few years or a player who's a little bit older, because you kind of learn sometimes
put things in perspective.
Yeah, you put it in perspective and you realize maybe reading Reddit is not that important. If all you're reading is people flaming you, you can kind of step away from that. I want to say with Upset, I don't know him well enough to say he's going to be affected by this.
Yeah,
like he's young. He has a lot of veterans around him. I am 100% sure they're going to help him if he has any issues in regards to how the community is reacting and what's happening now. And then he's just going to learn from it. And in a few weeks' time, he'll start winning games and play well. And then, bam, it's all forgotten.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy discussion to kind of touch on the kind of stress that some of these players are under. And you see some of them, like Mini Trupax, who's like the other end of the spectrum, who says, you know what, throw it all at me and just...
And he's winning right now, so everything is great. You know,
not everyone has to do that, right? It's all your own style.
I think for Mini Trupax, though, like Gillies took a lot of pressure off him to begin with, because Gillies was the one that basically talked trash, like even in the challenger scene, he kept going, and like basically forced that pressure on him. Everyone in the community focuses so much on him now that even if Mini Trupax has like a slightly bad game, people would not necessarily notice where it is.
That's his master plan. For years and years, Gilius has trash talked so that the moment came that he can form this team and win, and he'd deflect all of the criticism from his... Oh my God.
It's a classic coach strategy from sports as well. Mourinho does the same.
Gilius is basically Mourinho.
There you go. Confirmed on the LCS stream.
My mind is blown right now.
One thing to add also with the Mini Trupax one, like, it's not even necessary for me as much as trash talk. It's more the fact that the personality you show outside of the game is the personality I'm seeing in the game as well.
Yeah.
It is the confidence. It is, I will win. I will be in your face. I will force stuff. Jizuke is the same deal. And very often with pro players, they're out of the game personality is a little bit different from in the game. You can be a big trash talker outside, but then struggle to perform in game when it really matters. And those two things, they don't really add up. And we've seen some players have that issue in the past. Not with the Vitality guys. No. When they say they're going to win and they want to destroy you,
they most likely will.
They will definitely try, and we can see it in game.
Yeah, well, fantastic stuff. Moving on to another match, the Unicorns of Love, they picked up their first win of the split against H2K, and let's hear what their man in the jungle had to say after that final game.
Hey guys, I'm Medic. I'm here with Cold, the jungler from the Unicorns of Love. Still struggle not to call you trashy whenever I see you. Just coming off the back of your first win here in the spring split, how does it feel?
Ooh, it feels super relieving. Like, we obviously, when you are a new team and you start off 0-4, it's kind of, everyone is like stressing out a little bit. Like, you really want to like feel how it is winning again. Like, I almost like kind of forgot how it feels like winning, but it's just the best feeling. Like, this is what we work for every day, the feeling of winning. So just very happy and satisfied with how we played today.
Well, in week 1 of the PGL, you said that you think this is a team that needed a bit of time to develop, a bit of time to grow as a team. Do you think you've hit that point, or is there still some way for you to go?
I mean, obviously, we still in the start, like, it took some time for us to get together. We are obviously also playing with a Korean that had some issues in communication, and that's why I knew that it would take some time for us to be on the same page. But I see every week we're like slowly but surely getting better, and that's the most important thing. Like we will just keep grinding, and I think today we showed a more controlled and controlled Unicorns of Love, where before in the other games we were playing a little bit more chaotic, and I'm just very satisfied with my teammates. I think they all played super well today.
Excellent. How much of that do you think comes off the back of you being part of the team? Because a lot of people have talked about you being the captain, you being the leader. Do you think that's your role in this team?
Definitely. I'm trying my best every day to kind of calm down some of the younger guys. Like, especially today, I could really feel when we got a lead and everyone just wanted to do everything at once, where you need someone to just calm people down, do the right steps, and then set it up properly. And that's kind of what I do in the game, and today it worked out, so I'm happy about it.
Excellent. It's good to hear that they've got someone to calm them down a little bit. Just final question, I want to talk a little bit about Exile, because the cast has brought up that he sometimes has up and down performances. We tend to see it in his gameplay as well. He's had a couple of good performances on Rise in this split. What is it in particular that makes him so up and down as a player?
Obviously, last split wasn't the greatest for him, and I think maybe it hit his confidence a little bit in his own play. Generally, he's probably one of the smartest players I've worked with, but sometimes he just wants to do too much in the game that kind of just screws over his play a little bit, where he, instead of focusing surely on his own, he's like looking at the map all the time, looking for plays, what he can do, instead of maybe focusing a little bit more on himself rather than helping his teammates. So it's something I'm trying to tell him a little bit, where I can help him a little bit with taking over some of the stuff he wants to do. But generally, he just needs some confidence back, and I think winning in LCS is a good start for this.
Definitely is. Congratulations again on the win. We're going to hand it back across towards you. Take it away, Shox.
Thank you very much, Medic. Nice to hear from Cold after we caught up with them in week 1. Now, after their first win, a couple of things that I want to mention. Controlled is what I heard. Controlled, this was better. He was very happy with that. Not as chaotic of a style. And that definitely seems like the way they should go, right? Because you can't start with a new team and you're trying to figure everything out and you're going full chaotic all the time. Controlled, some comfort picks. Looks good.
And we had a conversation week 1 when the Unicorns played the first time about what kind of identity and what kind of style do they want to play. We were discussing, is it, you know, CPUs tell them to play aggressive all the time and fight, or was it the players? In this case here, we're seeing it's the players, right, who gets to decide how to play in-game, and especially Cold, who is a big leader on the team. And we're going to see more games where it's like a little bit more calculated early game from Unicorns of Love, and then if someone like Exile gets an advantage, you can unleash him in the side lane. But not until he's actually ahead and can do that are you allowed to unleash him.
That was some interesting insight into the psyche of Exile, where he just wants to do too much and maybe do it all alone and then doesn't make the right decision, which is something I can see, and especially when things aren't going well, he feels like he probably wants to go everywhere to fix it, but it's not working for now. However, did work today, good performance by him, and I think for Exile as a person, amazing. If he hasn't had the best games, this will hopefully boost him and make him good for tomorrow and the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I'm really happy about Trashy's wording, like in terms of what he talked about Exile, and I think that alone, like just someone actually publicly standing up for you is really important to your character and like to your psyche too, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, good to see.
I'll stand up for you too, Maurice. You're doing a great job.
You're sitting down right now.
I will stand up for you, Maurice. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
Right. Let's look at the standings now. Vitality, Misfits, and Giants have secured themselves a lead, with Rockad trailing just behind, so they are all three in first place. We didn't touch on Giants and Rockad yet. They played versus each other, but Giants find themselves at the top of the standings. And if we look at those two teams, those were two teams we didn't expect to be at the top of the standings, who started off really well. Rockad, not the best performance today. Giants looking more and more like the realer deal, right? I know everyone keeps having these questions of, oh, if it's best of ones, is it the beginning, is it blah, blah, blah. But they're still there. And if we give the credit to Misfits and Vitality, we should give it to Giants.
100%. I like the late game a lot. Like, they team fight really well, and they draft good team fight comps. We had the Jinx today from Steelback, so if you're a Jinx fan, go back and rewatch the game. It was actually a really fun game as well. And early game, Joko and Ruin together, even when they were not supposed to make a single play, pulled off 2 really good plays, got ahead in the game. Then
did the Giants thing where you throw a bit?
Joko had his 1 invade per game that goes wrong.
But Jinx traps.
But then Jinx traps at Baron. I'm actually going to... The first thing I do when I come home today is I'm going to rewatch that team fight and I'm going to see what happened with those Jinx traps and if Rocket could have done something different.
Yeah, you seem to be of the opinion that they could have done literally anything different, and that
I definitely said Jinx traps like 15 times in the cast after that team fight.
All right, well, we'll take a look, and we'll also be back tomorrow with 5 new games, kicking it off with a fight between the Unicorns of Love and Vitality. So that confidence boost the Unicorns of Love had, it's going to have to be a big one because Vitality is looking on fire right now. Schalke has a chance to bounce back. What other matchup are you guys looking forward to? It's right there.
What do you take?
I'm Schalke Giants. That's gonna be a fun game to watch. I think Splyce Misfits, pretty sick late game team fights. Also gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
What do you got, Maurice?
What do I have? I'm pretty fine with Misfits against Splyce. I think it's gonna be a high matchup in terms of like how Splyce is gonna recover, because I thought they showed a couple of improvements today, and I wonder how it's gonna translate into tomorrow.
We will see what happens. And across the Atlantic, the LCS Academy is starting right after our show here in Berlin. First up, CLG Academy taking on Echo Fox Academy. If you didn't catch all of the EU LCS games today, remember that you can tune in for our rebroadcast right after the Action North America. So you can watch all of this, watch all of Academy, rewatch all of EU, and come back, and EU will be back because we will be back tomorrow with another 5 games. There you go. Time for us to log off for the night. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the nice insight in PGL as always, and we'll see you tomorrow.
It is the very first game of patch 8.2 worldwide here in the European LCS. Sidestep is going to fire down those accelerated push gates, and he's going to be locked into the Oh man, as the satchel charge is being hammered away. That's another for UOL. Exile gets them down. Running down Promise Q and Cagel. The spell flux is bouncing. Another stopwatch goes on. A double for Exile. Night and Exile. Everybody down. And for the 3rd time in a row, H2K are defeated. But it's the first of the split for the Unicorns of Love. Traps are so important. Memento is down. That's the team fight Giants wanted. Norscarin goes golden with the stopwatch, and Rocket are running for their lives. Norscarin's down. It's a double kill for Betsy, and Steelback is excited. Found out Giants siege. They take down their Nexus turrets, and Giants take first place with 4 wins and 1 loss.
Looks like Upset's going to be a little bit more than angry as he's going to get taken down. This could just be the double. Schalke have no vision, and they are gone. TP is now coming in. Which member is going to be that joins the fray at this stage of the game? Zuke there once again. Drowsy goes on to Vander. Not a lot of hope. Oh, God, that's the bait and switch. Woo!
Holy shit, nice. I'm ending.
We're ending. We're ending. Go in.
Go. That's right.
Who's over right there now? He is not napping. He's focusing. He's meditating.
Niski now moving forward onto Perks, pushes Jankos back. It's one man in the midst of all of G2, but it's just not enough. G2 move in. It's the slow, steady closeout.
I love seeing this from Sanko. He's throwing out the sleepy trouble bubbles.
Engage gets it onto Braum, but not a whole lot else. Gang playing ulti on the backside could be in trouble. All eyes on Alfari. He just managed to join the fight. Senko's looking for the sleepy trouble bubble. Caps knocking it back into the middle of everything. Where's the barrel going to be? Bam!
This is it.
Axlord TP's on the backside. Reckless running for his life. One man on a mission, but it's not enough. Misfits, hold on. Not a lot left to say. Misfits in a nail biter, in a back and forth, in a brutal onslaught, are able to find the win and take down Fnatic.